Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sammy here from CertiCraft. I am joined by Chris. That's Chris right there.
My name's Chris Budd. I'm one of the founders of Isolocity, and my role at the company is subject matter expert. Myself, I've been in compliance for coming up to about 2 decades now. It's funny how time flies, but I've been a quality manager, an internal quality consultant at large companies such as Magna International, one of the largest automotive manufacturer companies in the world. Been a consultant. I've been a quality auditor. And in this most recent decade, launched Isolocity with my business partner. And our goal is to eliminate compliance, eliminate the labor in compliance. Sorry. So we're really trying to make things easy and simplified, and especially with cannabis use cases and growing up in the cannabis space in the 2015, 2016 years. We learned a lot and really tailored our program to that market. And we have clients who are probably showing up to this meeting today, and we have clients who will probably look at this meeting after the fact, and looking forward to sharing the stage with Sammy today and reviewing this great integration that has been built by the development teams at CertiCraft and Isolocity quality management software. And let's get into it, Sammy.
Awesome. Well, what we were thinking is well, we already did this thing, the talking about who we are. You get to see me in the olden days, back when I had very long hair, unlike currently. We were thinking we'd start with a high-level overview on what seat-to-sale systems, which is what CertiCraft is, and QMS systems are. Then get into a brief demo of each system. So those of you who aren't familiar with either CertiCraft or Isolocity or both, potentially, can kind of get a sense of what they each do, and then we dive into showing what the demo actually is. So I'm going to kick things off by talking about seat-to-sale software. Seat-to-sale software, I mean, at a high level, it's in the name, right? It's something that helps you track your product as it develops from seed, with the very beginning, putting something in the ground or potentially cuttings, through to when you sell that product, with every step in between. So whether you are drying and curing or freezing or whatever your product, and you're selling flour, or whether you are using your flour as inputs to create some kind of extract, to create topicals, to create edibles, whatever it might be, a good seed-to-sale system will allow all of that to be seamless. And, you know, every seat-to-sale system kind of has a different focus. And what sets CertiCraft apart from all the others is that our focus is on compliance and on streamlining compliance and making that super duper easy, and saving your quality assurance team and your production staff as much time as possible. And if you guys are curious about this, you can hit us up. I know Nick is in the chat there sharing contact info. And for those of you who are online, you can hit us up at contact@certicraft.com, or just go to our website and you can learn a bunch more. And I'll show you guys some stuff in a bit here after Chris talks about Isolocity and QMS systems at a high level. The last thing I'll leave you with is, what a result of our focus being on compliance and streamlining that is that when people switch to CertiCraft from one of our competitors, they typically find that they save 40 to 50 hours a month of busy work if they're on the micro scale, hundreds of hours of busy work a month if they're on the standard scale. So that's kind of where the return on investment is with a system like CertiCraft. By streamlining all that compliance, we save you so much headache and so much busy work. And I'll show you some of that after Chris shares a bit about what quality management systems are.
Thanks, Sammy. And so for some of you in this room are probably very familiar with Isolocity as a product, and also the idea of what a quality management software does for you. Before we dig into the software and what it contributes towards as far as a record keeping perspective, it's good to understand why quality management systems are in place. Not just in the cannabis space. If you think about any sort of those pharmaceutical drugs that you take, nutraceutical medications, whether it be vitamins, products that touch your body, such as deodorant, creams, lotions, or food that you ingest, all of these products are made within facilities who are GMP or have some sort of ISO compliance program in place. So Isolocity, as a quality management software, we help these companies, and not just in the cannabis space, but in other industries as well, to manage the record keeping requirements for Health Canada, for the FDA, for your Alexa in Europe when it comes to the GMP requirements. And on top of that, too, for companies who have gone through ISO certifications, whether it be ISO 9001, 17025, AS 9100, etc., for those companies that are manufacturing products that have record keeping requirements for quality assurance, we also help with that too. So, what is QMS? QMS is a record keeping system that mandates companies to track risk mitigation or risk management protocols. CAPA, what is CAPA? Problem resolution. So, when something bad happens, what do you do to reconcile that issue to ensure that it doesn't happen again and to build out the trend analysis? How do you manage your employee training? How do you manage your controlled documents? And how do you push out training to your from your controlled documents to all of the staff to ensure that they're well versed on that change or that document requirement? Even when it comes down to monitoring your supplier quality, you receive product into the door, you need to inspect it to ensure that it's suitable for use, not just from a cultivation perspective, but also from a processing perspective. That product that you're about to take and add value to for a finished product, you need to ensure that the inputs meet your quality requirements. So QMS also helps with that, to identify those quality inspection points and ensuring that they're all met and kept up to date and are to a satisfactory quality standard. So that is QMS, and that's what Isolocity does.
Thanks, Chris. All right, we're going to get into actually showing the systems that we've built, the solutions that we've built on the seat to sales side and the QMS side. We'll start off here with CertiCraft. Can somebody in the chat say if you can see my screen?
We can see it.
Okay, so I know the moderators can see it. What about the audience? All right, sweet. Thanks, guys. It's our first time sharing screens in this system, so wanted to just make sure. And I assume you guys could all see the slides too, right?
I believe it's your software that's up on the screen now, and the slide is the
no, just earlier. I meant I just want to make sure that like everything's coming through. Slash, I wanted to get some interaction in the audience. Look, we got like 5-6 people who have just chimed that weren't saying anything before, so I'm stoked on that. Thanks, Jessica, Nick, Jonathan, Natasha, Rosie, and Hartley. I appreciate you guys. All right, so I'm gonna share a little bit about CertiCraft here. Let's go into this thing here, and I'll full screen this view here. Okay, so in CertiCraft, the thing that makes our system so easy is that no matter what it is that you are trying to do, there's always going to be the same 3-step process to make a change. Whether you're trying to affect a batch, which in our system means a collection of plants that are growing together, whether you're trying to affect a lot, so a group of products that could be topical, whatever that you are working with, or whether you're trying to update an invoice in some kind of capacity. Everything always follows the same exact 3-step process, and I'm gonna show you right now with a really simple example. We have this batch of mothers here, and we're gonna take some cuttings from those mothers. And in showing you this, I'm teaching you how to use CertiCraft, and it's gonna be the same no matter what it is you're trying to do. So the 3 steps is: first, you open the thing you want to work with. Second, you find the command that you want to issue that changes the state in some kind of way. And third, you fill in the data that we give you, the form that we give you, and you submit that. So step 1, finding the thing. There's this Texada time warp. I love Texada Island, and anything that they create is amazing. So that's a little island up in the northern Gulf Islands of BC, north of the Sunshine Coast. So in this batch that we've opened, we can see now we have this inventory. Down here, we have things related to the compliance side, which I'll get into later. And here we have the commands that we can issue to change the state of this batch in some kind of way. And all these commands are written to exactly match how your production staff thinks about whatever it is that they're doing. So if we wanted to take cuttings from these mothers, well, there's this button here that says take cuttings from mothers. So we'll click that. That's step 2 completed. And step 3 is filling out this form. And this form makes sure that you stay compliant with the CTS report requirements, with the B300 report requirements, with the healthcare practitioner report requirements if you have a medical sales license, with everything needed for an inspection or an audit from either Health Canada or the CRA. And really for any government around the world, it's making sure that all the kinds of data that are required of you as a licensed producer is being tracked in a way that you're not forgetting anything. So we had 10 cuttings, 10 mothers. Let's say we took 10 cuttings from each mother, and we're going to put these all in the nursery here. We could give it a custom ID if we want to. In this case, actually, let's do that. Let's say integration batch. We're going to call it that. That's the name of this batch here. So we'll take cuttings from from mothers here, and now our system is double checking to make sure that what we're trying to do is possible within the state of this facility. My server might be warming up here because this is the first command that I've issued, and I'm using our little development account here. As you can see, this is not where you'd normally go to interact with CertiCraft. So please excuse the time that it'll take for this first command to get the server up and running. And yeah, this 3-step process that I just showed you is what you would do every single time that you want to make any kind of change in our system. So if we go back to the batches here now, we'll see that there's this new integration batch that we just created on June 16th. And if we open this, we'll see those 100 cuttings here. And we have some commands that match, like pruning plants or adding inputs, and some things that are new, like transitioning cuttings to vegetative plants. So that's kind of the input side, and I'll just jump into like a lot here. That's, let's say, bulk solventless extraction lot. Let's go in here so we can see what kind of stuff exists here in this place. So same kind of interface, but the products are quite different. Here we have ice water hash. We have flour infused with ice water hash. This is used to create pre-rolls if you wanted to create infused pre-rolls, and at every step of the way, the commands that we have and the inventory that we have is streamlined to exactly match what you guys would want to be doing. Do you want to create a retention sample for something? Do you want to move hash from the container into the heat press if you wanted to create rosin, or if you wanted to create pressed hash? So then that's kind of the thing about the CertiCraft system. No matter where you are, you can figure out what you need to do just by like thinking of what you actually need to do and looking at our system and seeing what phrase matches what you're trying to do. And that's what keeps our system really easy to learn. In fact, half of our customers just about tell us that they've figured out our system without any kind of training. We started getting that feedback at the conferences we just went to, which is really great to hear. And we have lots and lots of support if somebody did get stuck and needed help with something. We have Jacob on this call, who's an amazing lead for the customer support side. I'll show you guys the opposite end of the spectrum for CertiCraft, which is the output of our system. So for those of you in Canada, for the reports that you have for the government, it's really as easy as, select the monthly and then which kind of report is it, what month are you wanting the report for, and hit the download button. And then our system is preparing a thing that you can just send to the government and be done. I should have picked the CTS because spreadsheets are much quicker to generate than PDFs, which is what the B300 is, but too late now. So you'll get to see the B300 get generated for the CRA, and we'll give this a moment to do its thing. And then once this is done, I'll show you guys real quick kind of the audit side, which if you're audited by either Health Canada or the CRA, there we go. Here's the CRA report. As you can see, I am in the city of Snoop Dogg. And all the stuff that the CRA cares about is filled in for you, including packaging, and this is the milligrams of THC. And the thing about our system is, as you're getting into the processing world, into extractions, we do all these calculations for you, all the processing loss, all the drying loss, all the THC milligram totals, like all of that is figured out by our system for you, so that you can just plow ahead with what you're doing and not worry about figuring out how your formulation results in whatever XYZ might be. It's all streamlined for you to make this super easy. And on the audit side, it's the same thing. Pick which agency is auditing you. At Health Canada is the CRA, and with either agency, an entire inspection or an audit is just about a minute long now. At least for the initial thing, when the CRA reaches out to you, they want to know, like, hey, in the B300, how did you get all these numbers from all these months here? And I think you guys might not see this now because this is no longer in my browser. 1 second here. Yeah, I assume you guys can't see that anymore. Where's Chrome? Bum, bum, bum. How do I? Let's see. We'll stop sharing that, and we'll share instead my entire screen here. Why is this? Okay, there we go. Ooh, nice and trippy. Let's see. This is what opened. So yeah, this is the audit report for the CRA, where we show for all these different categories the key for the B300 and for the CTS. So in this case, inhaled extracts. This is in weight in kilograms. It's not applicable for the CRA for the B300, but it is applicable for the CTS. And then on the other next to it, we have also inhaled extracts. This time it's milligrams of THC, which is applicable for the B300, but not the CTS. And we show for each of these. So this is all stuff from our audit log. It's showing the record we created bulk pre-rolls. These happen to be infused pre-rolls. It shows you the timestamp where it happened and the data from each thing in the audit log that is relevant for that key in the B300. And CRA auditors have told us, a few of them now, that our system is their favorite because it makes the audits be trivially easy now. They just get this one file and everything that they need is in here in this big document. They don't have to do all this back and forth anymore with the license holders, which is great, of course. And yeah, there's more that we can show you. There's reports for internal stuff. You know, if you make any kind of mistake, it's super easy to fix yourself. There's the ability to edit, delete, and backdate any record in an audit-ready manner. And there's a whole bunch more stuff that I'm not going to get into right now because that's not the point of this call here. If you are curious to learn more, please hit us up. We'd love to show you more of the system. But for now, I want to turn this over to Chris so that he can show us Isolocity. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here and hand it over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Sammy. And hi, everyone. And we'll keep this sort of brief about Isolocity and the QMS because I know I think a lot of people in this room are a little bit more interested about the integration. But for those who aren't familiar with Isolocity as a product or QMS in general, what a platform like this is going to provide you with is essentially a nice streamlined project management tool that aligns every single one of your employees into compliance record keeping requirements. A good QMS such as ours, and not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but will connect every single employee. And by doing so, the employees will receive direction and action items real time on their tasks that they need to do to complete certain elements of your quality record keeping, whether it be a corrective action, whether it be reviewing and signing off on a document, and having some nice visual cues as well on our dashboard that helps guide the traffic to where you need to go. So for example, you come in, you get your action items. These action items are hyperlinked to the task where you need to go. On top of that, even driving through some training requirements. If you have an SOP revision and you need to take training on that revision and review that resource material, we also support embedded videos as well. So there's some nice things that a system like this can do to help cut a 6 to 7 step process when it comes to reviewing and revising and pushing out training of documents to a 2 to 3 click process instead. And hence the idea of the automation in Isolocity that we're trying to drive. Now, with Isolocity, there's a lot of great things that we can do, and we have lots of different modules. But what I'm really going to focus on mostly here is one of the most important elements of a QMS, which is your problem resolution toolkit. People call them the quality events. People call them the CAPA events. In Isolocity, we have 5 toolkits available. We have corrective and preventative actions, nonconformances, deviations, complaints, and out-of-spec sample. Every single one of these reports can be linked to each other. So for an example, if we're raising a nonconformance on an issue that we found in the lab or in the grow room, and we have to go through the destruction of the product or rework the product, we want to go through a set of steps that allow us to document the issue and then provide guidance on how we're going to prevent that issue from reoccurring. But if this report isn't sufficient enough to suffice that issue, You can then escalate it to a further what we call corrective action, which is more of a deep dive root cause analysis toolkit in our system. And also, you can also link it back to that inspection point where you found that failed product or you had the issue in the production room, for example. So Isolocity, lots of great toolkits here, everything from audits to asset management meaning maintenance and calibration, equipment validation, equipment sanitation as well, uh, training management, supplier quality, kappa, and also inspection templates and batch records as well. From batch records from a quality perspective, not batch records from a production perspective. So this is a great system, very user friendly, easy to digest, easy to understand. A lot of embedded videos and support mechanisms in our toolkit as well to help guide the user on how to use it. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about QMS and Isolocity in particular, just head to our website, and you got a bunch of information there at your disposal, and we'd be happy to chat. So at this point, what I like to do is stop sharing, and we'll let Sammy show off the integration.
Cool. So I met Chris at Lyft Vancouver in January of 2020, before COVID was a thing, or actually, I guess after it was a thing, but before anybody realized it was going to be a serious thing. And we hit it off right away. We were talking about what we each do, and we realized pretty quickly that there was a lot that was quite similar between our two companies, but without much overlap. I'm actually going to jump to one of the last slides that we have here because I think it's relevant for what I'm trying to say here. Both of our companies were small owner operated. Chris and his partner basically created this company together with just blood, sweat, and tears. And myself and my two co-founders, Nick and Giles, same thing. We cared about focusing on local, helping Canada first and foremost, but also with a desire to go global and support producers across the world. All the development was done in-house. We owned our own IP within the sectors that we were in. We were each the top user experience that, as far as customers' reviews went, and our customers really, really love our systems. So there's kind of a lot of like matching ethos and values and vibes. And then on top of that, our systems didn't have much overlap. We really focused on what Health Canada and the CRA are looking for in other jurisdictions as we start going into other jurisdictions, what the various regulatory bodies in those places are really looking for. But we never really got into kind of the broader quality assurance side, where it gets a lot more subjective and a lot more just quite different from one facility to the next, depending on the QAP and the quality assurance team and how they want to approach things. Whereas Isolocity focused exactly on that piece that we didn't do. They focused on giving the quality assurance team the tools to be able to create whatever workflow makes sense for how they want to approach their facility, how they want to structure their SOPs, and so on and so forth. And they didn't really do any of what we did in our system. And so from that moment, we kind of like started this relationship of just getting to know each other, getting to see like, does this make sense to integrate our system together? It took like a year and a half from that point to finally decide that, yes, let's make this happen. We were both on this upward trajectory of developing our brands and developing our customer bases and developing a lot of customer satisfaction. And maybe Chris, you can mention in a little bit here for Isolocity what the numbers are, but we at CertiCraft, we've grown through word of mouth now to just about 150 customers across Canada, which is pretty exciting. How many clients do you guys have, Chris?
I don't know. I do know we are in 15 different countries in cannabis operations right now, and we are in other industries as well too. I don't know the number of clients we have. Truthfully.
Okay, but Isolocity has more clients than we do. I do know that much. Roland, yes, this is going to go on YouTube eventually next week, and we also haven't shown the integration itself yet. So we've shown Isolocity and CertiCraft at a high level, but not the integration yet. So we're about to get into that right now. But yeah, and then last year we finally decided to make it happen. solidified our relationship, formalized it, and over the past 8 months or so, we've been building out the deepest integration that has ever been created between a seat-to-sale system and a electronic QMS system. So, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen once more here, and we'll show you guys what that's like. So I'll go back here into the audit log where we ended things off before. And now I'm going to open up my settings here in CertiCraft. And wait, I'm just going to check real quick. Can you guys see my screen?
We can, yes.
Oh, where is this thing? Okay, Chris says you can, so I'm just going to not. Hold on. There we go. Okay. This is confusing. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to open my settings here, and this is in CertiCraft. The settings is where you kind of configure how a lot of things are going to work for a lot of different modules that we create, and it's quite comprehensive. There's like a lot of different things for a lot of different products that you might want to be working on. And for you, when you log in, you won't see all this. You will kind of see settings that are relevant for whatever license you have, for whatever activities you are undertaking in your facility. In this case, though, I want to take a look at the Isolocity integration settings here, where we can create mappings between CertiCraft and Isolocity. And the core of the integration as it works right now is that we can set up a system where doing work in CertiCraft will automatically trigger events in Isolocity. It'll automatically trigger quality assurance workflows in Isolocity. It'll take data from CertiCraft, put it into Isolocity. So when a quality assurance team wants particular workflows to happen for particular events, that can all happen automatically without needing to double track data in two different places, pass things on paper from the production team to the quality assurance team, and just create a pretty seamless experience across the board. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab this. This here is the ID and Isolocity for an inspection that happens when trimming and drying is completed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new mapping to that same Isolocity specification, to that template there. But this time it'll be triggered by completing curing in our system. So I'm going to create a new mapping here and kind of show you what the process is like to create a mapping between the CertiCraft system and the Isolocity system. So first, we select a record in CertiCraft. We have all the different events that you can do. As you can see, there's a lot that you can do in the CertiCraft system. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to look for curing. And we're going to say curing finished. Is what this is going to be the event record that we're going to let trigger everything. And this event contains a batch or lot key and a drying loss. So I'm going to hit the next button here, and now we're going to find in Isolocity the template that we want to map to, that specification that we want to map to. So I'm going to copy this ID here, going to search for that. So now we've grabbed this information from Isolocity. There's 5 different fields in here. And now we're going to go to the stage where we actually map data from CertiCraft to Isolocity. So we're going to map this to the lot ID. This is what CertiCraft uses for like an ID for either a batch or a lot. And we're going to map the drying loss to the drying loss. The timestamp and the user that created the record, we're not going to map to anything. And likewise in Isolocity, there's 3 different steps that come later on in this workflow that we're not going to map to either, because that's going to be the quality assurance side that the QAP is going to then need to do for their work at Isolocity. But this way, we are triggering this when curing is completed for any batch in for any lot in CertiCraft, and sending the data that we can capture from CertiCraft to Isolocity automatically. So we'll hit the next button here. Double check that this is what we want to create. CertiCraft event record, curing finished, Isolocity specification, trimming and drying inspection, and that this is how the data is supposed to map. We'll hit this create mapping button. Now CertiCraft has sent a request to Isolocity to create a new activity inspection type in there that will be called curing finished in CertiCraft, as is written down here. And And this takes a little minute as our systems communicate back and forth and just get everything set up in order to make sure that this works smoothly for all operations in the future. And then once this goes through, what I'll do is I'll open a lot where we have a bunch of stuff in curing containers, and we'll go through the process of putting it in final containers, and then we will run the curing finished event, which will associate any leftover material as drying loss. And then I'll ask Chris to log in and show us in Isolocity that being triggered on that end there. So this mapping has been created here. We have this new curing finished here. This is revision number 1 of this inspection here, and we're not going to inactivate the mapping because we want it to work and to actually show you what that's like. So now we'll go into our lots here, and I do believe that this lilac diesel here has curing product in it. So we have one container with 20 kilograms of flour that is in the curing state. So let's say, it's been a few weeks of curing. We do a slow cure here in the barrel, and now we're ready to put this into finished containers. So I'm going to create one container that's going to contain flour. It'll be finished, and it'll be stored in the secure storage area. And I'm going to create a second container. Oops, wrong command. Create bulk flour containers. I'm going to create a second container here that's going to contain trim. And this is also going to be in the finished state in the secure storage area. And now we will take finished product from the curing barrel into this secure storage area there. You have to excuse the tardiness here. We're using our development servers. We're going through final quality assurance right now. We expect this integration to be released next week, and then it'll be running on our actual live servers that have a lot more resources allocated to them. Okay, so now we'll add finished product to bulk containers. We'll go from the curing container to the flour container. Let's say we got 13 kilos of flour. We'll add that to there. And then let's say we had 6.5 kilos of trim, 6.5. Now we have this half kilo left that's actually drying loss from the curing process. So we're going to run this finish curing for the slot command, which is what will trigger that mapping that we just created. So that half kilo is going to be associated as drying loss. And once this is done here and goes through, this command will take longer than your average command. In this case, it didn't because of development servers, but that length there is longer than what normally happens because it's triggering things in Isolocity as well and having that go through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Livestorm here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask Chris if he can share his screen and open his integrated account into Isolocity to show you the
product. All right. So at this point here, I'm in a different environment now. So if you're wondering why it looks a little bit different, this is a new environment that we set up dedicated to support the CertiCraft integration efforts. So what we can see here now is curing finished in CertiCraft has been automatically generated and pushed through. And with Isolocity now, we have a couple of different tools or checkpoints the QAP can enact. So they'll see the lot ID here, which can then be verified. Trimming process, this is where we get into some more of those Q&A types of scenarios and with electronic sign-off. So Isolocity is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. It is worth noting that. We identify that the drying loss is within specs, so that's not going to be an issue. So, but for the fun of it, what we're going to do is we're actually going to fail something and then take this to the next step. So let's just say perhaps during the inspection point that we'll change this around a little bit, is that we decided that it's not sufficient and we want to fail it based on criteria that we've set out. And then let's just say we're going to put this as, we'll put this as a yes, why not? So we have a QA check being verified as failed. And so at this point, what we're going to do is when we talk about problem resolution a little bit earlier in this webinar, when we talked about the Kappa toolkits that located here down the left-hand side, sorry. So this would be an example of where now you need to go about and do something about this. So you had some issue, you need to investigate that issue. So at this point, our inspection will tell us that we have a failed event. And with that failed event inspection, we want to then come in and then initiate that corrective action. So with this, we'll initiate our corrective action. We'll identify that it's an internal issue. It is a product issue, perhaps, and maybe the error code will say it was done by human error. And now in Isolocity, you have an investigation opened. You can link it back to that inspection point, but more importantly, that inspection point is now linked back to the CertiCraft database, and you can go through to your root cause analysis, your fishbone analysis. These are just toolkits that help get you to that root cause of why that issue happened, identify any sort of preventative actions you want to take to prevent it from reoccurring, an implementation plan, control system updates, and then any sort of process is affected. And you can also, with our form builder in Isolocity, you can also add in other elements in your QMS toolkit, such as approval or rejection of that report as well, too. So that would be a nice sort of visual. Hopefully that's a nice little visual cue of what we're able to accomplish with the CertiCraft integration. So workflows get initiated in CertiCraft. That record is created in Isolocity. At that point, that record is created in Isolocity. The QAP comes into that workflow that's been created, go through their checkpoints, sign off electronically if they want to sign off, and then if something's not working to their satisfaction, they can then initiate Kappa based on those requirements failing. So it just keeps everything nicely knit together and in compliance. And that's what we're trying to do here. So there's some cool things that we have. And I know there's some more stuff that we're working on right now in the integration, but we feel with this integration workflow being that first step, it really is what a true integration is. It's more than just a data sync. It's a workflow initiation. It's a communication mechanism with important data points that link back to your record keeping requirements. And so we're very proud of what we've done here, and hopefully you guys see the benefits of using these two systems in conjunction with each other.
And just one thing I want to note before you stop sharing there,
Yeah,
Chris.
sure.
Could you go into the activity inspections that you had there?
Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
You could do it. So I just want to quickly note that anything that's triggered by CertiCraft tells you that it was triggered by CertiCraft. So you can see there's 3 different things there in that list that say in CertiCraft at the end. So that's how you can very quickly tell whether it's something that was triggered by the integration from our system, or whether it's something that was triggered manually by somebody on your team within Isolocity. So there's a very easy and quick way to tell what comes from where, and yeah, I just wanted to note that because I think that's helpful. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Chris. I'll bring the presentation back up here. And Roland, I'm so excited about your excitement. This is amazing. Did you read that comment, Chris?
No.
Oh my God, this is exactly what we need, guys.
That's
So
great.
the last thing I'll do is I'll share this just high-level overview of the integration as it exists right now. I mean, the key is that it's simple. You just create these mappings and data automatically flows. Production events trigger the quality assurance workflows that you need. Your QAP does not need to now hound the production team for information, doesn't need to look through paper materials, figure out what they need to do. It's just all automated and seamless. And that's kind of the beauty of this integration. It's really simple, but it's really effective. And then what we're working on next is downloading one shared batch or lot record from both systems that puts everything in one place, so that you only need to download it once from either of our systems and get everything from both systems at once to make inspections a lot easier and audits, whether they be internal or external because of the government. And last but not least, Isolocity has a pretty thorough SOP management system with revisions and all that jazz. So we'll also soon have the ability to let you embed those SOPs from Isolocity right into the CertiCraft workflow. So when you open up a particular command, if you wanted to see the SOP associated with it, there'd be a button there you can click that'll just open that SOP, so you have that reference right there within CertiCraft as you're doing whatever that thing is. And for any of you on this call, if or any of you who might be watching this later on, if you use both systems and there's certain aspects of an integration that you're really excited about, please reach out and let us know, because you guys know what's going to make a difference if you're users of both of our systems, and we want to hear from you about that. Sharmali, CertiCraft has a recall report, and I'm sure that Isolocity has too, and we can get into that. We can get into that later. Lots of people who have comments and questions and things they're interested in. Yeah, Hartley and Sharmali, I'd love to hear from you guys what you guys have in mind as far as an integration for those things, and yeah, I would love to get a better sense of that. Chris, do you have any final thoughts you want to share before we shift into Q&A here?
Well, I want to just handle those questions that or comments that came in. So about recall, so our system can help you document the effectiveness of a recall through one of the quality event mechanisms that we have. So yes, Isolocity can handle that record keeping requirement, but from a traceability recall perspective, that would be handled through CertiCraft, because obviously CertiCraft is going to track which product was sent where. But yes, that would be a nice natural progression to how the integration could evolve, is that recall is initiated in CertiCraft, and then that quality event is then triggered in Isolocity. The QAP.
And in fact, I'm gonna show that real quick, because I like that idea, Chris. Because yeah, you're right. CertiCraft has here. If we go to the reports, can you guys see my screen again? I'm assuming that you can.
Yeah.
If we go to the operational side into the sales, we have a dedicated recall report. So if you needed to recall, these two lots, you'd be able to do that and download the reports for it. And I think it could be interesting to in here have another button that then lets you trigger what you're talking about in Isolocity. That would be pretty straightforward to create, I imagine.
Yeah, it's really it's almost, you can create it as an activity inspection if you want. You can have it as a quality event. The other question from Hartley, so from equipment validation, Isolocity does have an asset management tool, and that asset management tool feeds in with the equipment manager, and that then triggers scheduled maintenances, calibration, sanitation, or revalidation of the equipment, or validation of the equipment upon install as well too. You can also have templates that surround that, and then have that revalidation on a frequency that makes sense. So that from those perspectives, yes, our system can do a lot more than just quality event reporting. There's a great we have a great 15-minute video that we can send out to the team or to the audience after the fact, just kind of giving that high level of Isolocity, not too deep, but just enough to get interested. And if you're interested, please reach out to us, and we'd love to walk through more of a deep dive with you and see if it's a good fit. Okay, let's do Q&A.
So for everybody, there's a questions tab. If you got any deeper questions, you can ask them there, or you could just do it in the chat, because we're all here anyway, whatever you guys prefer. I'm just gonna, Chris, do you want to drop in a link for wherever you want people to go if they want to reach out to you guys and talk more? I'm gonna go find right now. We have a form for people to fill out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share that here in the chat. So, ooh, that is not I'm just gonna share our website. That's too ugly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's probably the best place to go for us too, is our website. We have lots of different landing pages and that sort of stuff. But we can we just start with our website. Our website's got lots of great information. And one of the nice things about Isolocity too, and I don't really want to get into why we're better than our competitors, but I think the one thing that people like with Isolocity, if you go on our website, is the transparency about pricing and user roles. And I think especially in this time, in this industry, people want transparency, and they want to know their cost investment and what's going to be involved, and not have any sort of jackpots or Easter egg costs come up in their bill. And I think that's one of the nice things that we do, and why a lot of the producers in this industry and in this country like Isolocity, because we have a solid product. It's easy to use. It meets the requirements and it's affordable. And I think that's what people need right now in the cannabis industry.
Awesome, Chris, and awesome, Roland. I'm just going to read Roland's comment here because I think that's maybe a nice way to cap off this um, this video here. And Roland, if you want to share whatever company you're part of in the chat, I'll give you a shout out for that as well after reading this. So Roland says, seriously, what I've seen so far is very encouraging. In most cases, I feel like the operations and QA teams quite frequently find themselves at odds, especially in the day-to-day. This level of integration should finally help to bridge that gap in a great way. It never hurts to have your ops and QAP teams actually working together. Smiley face. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Roland. Excited you feel that way. Really curious where you work. You didn't say anything, so I'm not going to give you any further shout outs, but thank you for that kind commentary there. Oh, he says Cloud City Cannabis. Awesome. Go buy some Cloud City Cannabis products, guys. They're great because they're giving us compliments in this webinar. As you guys can see, I'm very easy to sway. Just give me compliments and I'm happy. Cool. I don't see anything else coming through. Chris, do you want to wrap up here?
Yeah. Again, I just want to say thank you for everyone for taking time out of their busy schedule. Friday morning, Friday afternoon, depending on where you're at. I know that's sometimes hard, but we appreciate it in helping us build awareness around this advancement in our two platforms and partnership. And I want to thank the team at CertiCraft for hosting this webinar. And I want to thank the folks at Isolocity for helping the guys at CertiCraft put this together. And last but not least, I want to thank all of our clients and friends in the room and people who will be watching this later on. And appreciate your support and look forward to receiving more feedback on how we can improve this integration.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And likewise, huge thanks to you guys for being here. Thank you to Chris and your team for your help in creating this integration. Huge thanks to the developers, especially Amrita on our team, who really spearheaded this integration overall. To Jacob, who's been doing quality assurance for the past week or two and has helped get it a lot stronger. Hartley, to your question, I think Jacob would be better to answer that, but like next week or the week after is most likely. It's getting to like we're going through the final stages of addressing the quality assurance stuff that Jacob brought up. So yeah, I think next week or the week after will be when it's available in production. Second version kind of depends on you guys and what you tell us around your needs. But yeah, for anybody who uses Isolocity or CertiCraft and is interested in this integration, please reach out to the support staff on whatever team you are closer to and want to reach out to. And yeah, we'll take you through the ropes of making that happen. And the integration is very easy to create. You just get the API token from Isolocity, you put that token into CertiCraft, and you're done. It's like a 2-minute process to create the integration. So yeah. And Isolocity does offer a free trial for those of you that are asking about that. For CertiCraft, we don't offer a free trial, but we'll like take you through essentially a free trial where you talk with us and we guide you through a demo of our system that you control where we go. It's like 5-10 minutes of showing you the basics, and then you drive it from that point forward. And thanks everybody. Isolocity.com, CertiCraft.com. If you like this video, subscribe to this channel. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe.
And thank you again, Chris. Appreciate you and your time. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Peace.